Baker.
Okay.
Yeah. And I got an eyesight problem, and I got a hearing problem.
All right.
And then I got a guest out at my place that got too many dogs. So I just got a short speech, and I'm looking for a request.
Is there any public?
Yeah.
Well, we'll point to citizen participation. That's what you'll get up here and introduce yourself.
Yeah, we got to talk,
Swing
sure.
away. Okay. I think we have about 5 minutes. About 5 minutes?
Oh, I'd be less than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll follow on it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's pretty snazzy. Who made that?
I don't know. Not me.
Myra's getting pretty good.
Computer technology.
Myra, did you do this?
No, sure.
This department? Katrina, very good.
I'm sure it was AI.
Well, yeah, but still,
She gave it good
it's amazing
credit.
what they can do.
Computer technology nowadays. Everything's fake.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing real anymore.
That's true.
You can't even believe what you see anymore. You'd still believe what you see, but you can't do that.
Who's your slide attendant yesterday?
I'll be in Salt Lake tomorrow. Yeah. Went Salt Lake after our last meeting. Went Salt Lake had plenty of surgery after our last meeting. I've been waiting for turning after doing it. So I get released tomorrow. 3 weeks. Now I'll get started and stuff. In pain.
Yeah, Garrett had that
I'm gonna dress this year.
2 summers ago. He milked it though.
This drove me up a wall.
Yeah.
And it's right under the belt lines. You can't wear your pants, and I don't wear sweatpants, and I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I'm ready. See, I had surgery 1st December. Done surgery down there, and then it blowed out and herniated again. So then they went in, I had to wait for that to heal before they could do it again. And then we done it again. So hopefully this one holds. So supposedly the volume oxygen on my penis skin is thin.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not no doctor, but what they said, so it don't hold very good.
You have to be extra careful.
Well, they put make sure this time. There.
Your last 4 minutes. 3. You know how that works. All right, let's see here.
He's on his way.
We figured. He squeaks in here.
He said he went to talk to Bingham.
Oh. Cutting it real close, Vice Mayor. Seconds. Good. All right, it's 6 o'clock. Please stand with me and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Lynn, will you conduct roll call, please?
Madam Mayor Jacqueline Moyles.
Here.
Vice Mayor Darrell Warner.
Here.
Councilmember Darrell Kelly.
Here.
Councilmember Tanya Lumen.
Here.
Councilmember Terry Pattison.
Here.
Councilmember Steve Sanger.
Here.
Councilmember Bruce Seeloff.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, moving down to the approval of the agenda. Councilmember Sanger?
I move to approve the April 7th, 2026 City Council agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to approve the April 7th, 2026 City Council agenda as presented. Any discussion? Lynn, will you open online voting, please?
Online voting is open.
Yeah.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
All right, moving down to the approval of the consent agenda. Councilwoman Lewin?
Move to approve consent agenda of April 7th, 2026 as presented.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda of April 7th, 2026 as presented. Any discussion? Lynn, will you open online voting, please?
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
Okay, moving down to a public hearing. This is a public hearing to approve first reading and waive the reading of the ordinance approving planning and zoning application PZ 2603001 regarding vacation of public right-of-way on Miller Street and Bennett Street. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on this public hearing?
Pertaining to the Miller Street, I would.
Come on up, sir. Please state your name for the record.
James Cruz.
I'm sorry?
James Cruz. Oh, sorry. James Cruz. I need to sign. Is it, Honorable Mayor and Council, is it possible for me to pass a picture out? Because they
Yes, you may
say
approach. Yeah.
they say pictures are 1,000 words or something. So if I could.
Yes,
Yeah,
please, please approach.
I think I have enough. Kind of to explain.
Hello.
I don't even think it.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz.
Hey, Terry.
Do I know you from somewhere?
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I may. You won't put the meeting together to see what's going on. If you notice the picture on the left, if you would, if you're standing on the street Bennett there, you would be looking, if you're looking west, you're looking into my property. And you could see the embankment or the elevation there. That's why I was hoping we would never eliminate the street. The picture to the right shows the elevation. I put a straight edge on there, and what's holding it up is one of those yardsticks, those little wooden yardsticks, to show you that it's at actually 3 feet high, the embankment. The picture underneath that one shows not only the property line, the fire hydrant is of course the corner to the property, or you could see the stick next to it. So it would be impossible for me to pull in a 60-foot trailer like I had before, because between the hydrant and the water meter, it's impossible, and then there's a gas line that runs through there anyway. And the only access I've ever had to this property, or my father's had to this property, was through that Miller Street that is being vacated. So that's my dilemma. I'm sure the city, like most people, could use a little money. Most people can, well, except for maybe Mr. Lascano and Juan Leon. Where's my buddy? Is he even here? Maybe it's good he's not. Anyway, I could understand why you'd want to get rid of that street. It's a dead end to you folks or to the city, but it's not a dead end to me. It's very important that that street access allows me into my property there, as you could see. So that's kind of the reason that I wanted to speak, so that maybe that wouldn't take place. I know there's a municipal code or ruling that whoever owns part of the property, like this is a street, whoever owns part of the property has a right to buy half the street if it came to that. I don't know if that's what your folks are thinking about, but it would be nice if you do decide to to vacate that street and that I get to purchase it, that you would consider me a senior citizen, as you know I am, somebody that was born here. My father bought that property, and he worked for you guys for 44 years, and he didn't expect you would ever sell his corner property or eliminate his corner property, but that's where it's at now. So I guess that's pretty much I have, unless there's any questions about that. You could see in the pictures the meter. Sorry, I was hoping we could put it on the board so others could see it, but I guess it doesn't pertain to them. So I know I talked to Mr. Seeloff, and he kind of knew my dilemma, and but that's where it's at.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Anybody else that would like to speak on this public hearing? Okay, we will close this public hearing and move down to citizens' participation, which is a time set by resolution number 2C 1996, and it sets a time limit of public comment for 5 minutes, with the provision that the 5-minute time limit may be increased at the request of the member of the public or any council member, subject to the council vote. And I do know we have one gentleman here that would like to speak. Please come up and state your name for the record.
You'll need to sign in. If you can see it.
Well,
Can you see the line? You just need to sign your name right there.
oh, you want me to sign in?
Yes, please.
Okay.
You can go ahead and speak.
Well, thank you for your patience. At 82 and a half, I got a growing disabilities, my hearing, and of course, occasionally my throat is bad. I have some guests on the border of Carbon County and Sweetwater County, and I've been trying to get them to have some respect and assistance for the health department and how many dogs they can have in their mobile home and the care of their animals. And they have brought dogs into the animal shelter here in Rawlins for to be handed out, and they have passed puppies at the Carbon County Fairgrounds a couple years to get rid of some of their excess dogs. part of the problem now is the dogs are almost uncontrollable. They're super duper animal lovers. They're all of them, his 2 daughters and his wife and him, they're all on welfare. He's 76, I'm 82 and a half. And recently I had to get an ambulance for my hearing problem. And while the ambulance was coming out there, he came out to see what the ambulance was there for. And he got very concerned, so disturbed by seeing the ambulance and seeing my condition. He had a heart attack. He was hauled in from 287 out here where the big turnaround is for the snowplow by helicopter to Casper. And he was there in Casper for a couple days, and apparently they were able to stabilize his condition. He's back. He did get back. I have a friend here, a businessman here in town, of A&M mobile mechanic, and he's been keeping vehicles out there on my property at his convenience and my convenience. And he's been very helpful to me when I had vehicles and a driver's license and ability to hear better and speak better. But he's got vehicles stored on the property. He's had some difficulties with the dogs and with this person's having friends and associates on the mobile home. The mobile home that he's living in is a V-shaped, wide mobile home, more of the modern type. But they love dogs and they love cats. They love to love animals. Part of the animals was the incident which I had difficulty with one of the dogs, and they had a confrontation with the dogs, and I stepped on one of them, and that was part of my hearing problem, and part of the reason why I had to have an ambulance come out to tend to me. But he then had a heart attack, so that was a bigger issue. But all this fine detail and history has been recorded by the Carbon County Sheriff's Department and by the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Department, and of course the ambulance call. Basically, what I would like to do is see if there's any possibilities of an indulgence where I can have a person from the animal shelter people here in the city of Rawlins go out and have a on-site discussion with them on the necessity of vaccinations and the necessity of having a limitation on how many dogs, because in the health department and not only in the Carbon County but also Sweetwater County believes that all the dogs should be vaccinated. None of them have been. When they do get excess puppies, they bring the puppies into the county fairgrounds or to the animal shelters here in Rawlins to pass out to anybody that will have dogs, and of course respect all that maintenance costs and the health hazards involved. So I'm just wanting to make an easy appeal that for some consideration, it doesn't have to be satisfied today, but I would like to see if I can get any arrangements to have a person from the animal shelter to go out and talk to them directly on the property, which is only a half-mile across in the Sweetwater County line. And of course, everything in Sweetwater County, where this property is located on Minerals Exploration Road, is roughly 105 miles from beautiful downtown Green River, the county seat of Sweetwater County. So all this explanation is probably an over necessity on my part to tell you what the situation is. I'm not expecting a decision this evening. I just wanted to personally be here and let you hear my story, and whatever you decide or whatever you resolved, I would appreciate getting a letter, a comment on what you can do and what can't be done, and I'll take that comment and letter and try to get some more direct participation from the county seat of Sweetwater County, which I mentioned is about 105 miles or 110 miles from the county line of Sweetwater and Carbon County. So that's my story. As I say, I'm sticking to it. If you got any questions, I'll be glad to see if I can hear them properly. Give you a good answer.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody here else that would like to speak?
Is that sufficient? Okay.
All right, seeing none, I will move down to boards and appointments and presentations. And the first one is a proclamation for sexual assault awareness, and I believe Cove is here to present. Come on up, Jennifer.
Good evening. Just real quick, just wanted to say thank you for the recognizing April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and thank you to these wonderful ladies from the Rawlins Police Department for standing with me in solidarity this evening. We may work in different departments, but our goal is the same, to support survivors and raise awareness in the community. I also want to add that usually Cove has awareness events or hosts awareness events during the month of April. However, we did have one planned, but we had to cancel, unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances. So we're not going to have any events scheduled this month, but we're still visible. We're still here. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
All right. So Sexual Assault Awareness Month is April 2026, whereas sexual violence is devastating and intolerable crime affecting men, women, and children of all races, ages, cultures, economic situations, and abilities. And whereas the National Violence Against Women Prevention Center estimates that 1 of 5 adult Wyoming women has been forcibly raped at least once in her lifetime. And whereas sexual violence seriously affects our youth, with 1 out of every 3 girls and 1 out of every 6 boys being sexually assaulted before the age of 18. And whereas continued commitment is needed to ensure that all victims and survivors of sexual violence are treated with the dignity and respect they deserve and afforded the support they need to heal. And whereas to prevent future violation of our citizens, we must foster greater public awareness of the causes and effects of sexual violence and commit to addressing this problem on every civic level. And whereas no one person, organization, agency, or community can eliminate sexual assault on their own, all must work together in eliminating the perpetration of rape and sexual assault. Whereas Carbon County Cove requests public support and assistance as it works towards a society where all people can live in peace, free from violence and exploitation. And whereas the vision of ending sexual violence can be a reality. Now, therefore, I, Jacqueline R. Wells, Mayor of Rawlins, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2026 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. In Rawlins, Wyoming, I urge all citizens to join together to prevent sexual assault. All right. Moving down to another proclamation for National Crime Victims' Rights Week of April 19th. Yes. They're here to speak on this too.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
If you want to read the
Sure.
proclamation first, Madam Mayor.
National Crime Victims' Rights Week. Whereas America has joined together annually each April for National Crime Victims' Rights Week, which was first declared in 1981 by President Ronald Reagan to focus the attention of our nation on the rights of all crime victims. And whereas we must remain united in our commitment to ensure that victims of all crimes and survivors are treated with compassion, respect, and sensitivity, and be recognized as key participants within our systems of justice and afforded services that provide them with hope and self-confidence. And whereas by promoting victims' rights and honoring crime victims and those who advocate on their behalf, we focus on the issues and trauma experienced by victims of crime and the services available to support them, and provide an opportunity to strive to achieve the ideas of this year's theme, rights, access, equity for all victims. Now, therefore, I, Jacqueline R. Wells, Mayor of the City of Rawlins, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim the week of April 19th through the 25th, 2026 as National Crime Victims' Rights Week. In the city of Rawlins, Wyoming, that we honor victims of all crimes and further extend our appreciation to the Rawlins Police Department Victim Assistance Program during this week and throughout the year for their vital services they perform for all victims. So dated this 7th day of April 2026.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. This year's theme for Crime Victims' Rights Week is Listen, Act, and Advocate. This is to honor victims and survivors, to recognize service providers, and raise awareness of rights. Every state has their own Bill of Rights for all victims. We have our own, which I have put our cards at the back of the room here, so if somebody wants to pick them up to know more. Our main priority is to ensure that all victims receive compassion and knowing about their case so that they can be made whole again and help with the healing process. Thank you. And thank you for your continued support.
And thank you guys for all that you do.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to another proclamation for National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week of April 12th through the 18th, 2026. And I will invite you guys up. National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas an emergency occurs to prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property, and whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Rawlins Police Fire Communications Center, and whereas public safety communicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, and whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them with information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the Rawlins Police Department have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Now, therefore, I, Jacqueline R. Wells, Mayor of the City of Rawlins, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim the week of April 12th through the 18th, 2026 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the City of Rawlins, Wyoming, in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe. So dated this 7th day of April of 2026. And we'll pass it over to you guys.
I don't talk in front of people.
Thank you for what you do anyway. She does talk to people, however, all day long.
She does, all day.
So thank you for your support of our telecommunicators. I've been a police officer for a very long time, and I've always had a special place in my heart for our dispatchers and call takers. They have been described as guardian angels not only for the public they serve, but for the first responders that they serve. They've also been described as our lifeline, and I've seen that throughout my entire career. They are dealing with the public when they're having the worst day of their life. They're gathering information that we need to respond to help them, providing us with that information, sending us on our way, and then continuing to check on us to make sure that we're okay while we're out there. Our dispatchers do a phenomenal job. I could not be more proud of them. Thank you very much for your proclamation.
Thank you. Moving down to one more proclamation. And this is whereas National Volunteer Week on April 19th through the 25th, 2026 is celebrated throughout the nation to focus national, state, and local attention on the vital role of residents serving as volunteers and being an integral part of the fabric of our community. And whereas the City of Rawlins and Rawlins Downtown Development Authority are blessed with over 500 active volunteers logging thousands of hours every year, and whereas these volunteers dedicate their time to improving our community through coaching youth, serving on boards and commissions, beautification events, and serving as volunteer firefighters and victims advocates. And whereas the volunteer sector is recognized as the third partner with the government and business in building strong communities. And whereas the City of Rawlins wishes to recognize these men, women, young adults, and children who have given of their time and talents to our community through our many city departments. And therefore, I, Jacqueline R. Wells, Mayor of the City of Rawlins, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim the week of April 19th through 25th, 2026 as National Volunteer Week. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Rawlins, Wyoming to be affixed this 7th day of April 2026. And I'll pass it over
Thank
to
you, Madam Mayor and Council. I want to thank you for this proclamation and your support, but ultimately I want to thank these 500 volunteers. I mean, it says it in the proclamation, whether we're volunteer fire department, the city's boards, commissions, cleanup days, coaches. We're going to have a really cool community builder award coming up next. But again, we as a city, and I love that part in the proclamation that it's the third part of the stool. It's that commitment to making Rawlins and serving a better place. So thank you to all those volunteers.
Yes, thank you. And then getting to move, might as well keep the volunteer committee up here. The Community Builder Award for April 2026.
I was trying to find last place. Madam Mayor and Council, the Community Builder Award is a monthly award the city presents to local individuals, businesses, and organizations for their volunteer service, sponsorship, promotion of programs and events, outstanding service in the interest of the city, and for other contributions significant to the Rawlins quality of life. The Volunteer Committee would like to present April 2026 Community Builder Award to Katie Schinkel.
So I have a few things to comment. Katie Schinkel is a volunteer, but she is the volunteer. I just have to say, it was so fun talking to her yesterday on the phone. She's with the Rawlins Police Department Victim Assistance Program. Being a lifelong resident of Rawlins, she has a love for her community and its people. She has volunteered for the last 4 years and plays an active role in direct victim services and outreach efforts. Katie is always willing to jump in and lend a hand with being on call, helping with events as National Night Out, awareness, presentations, and at the fair booth. Her many hours of responding to calls and at all hours of the day and night, trainings, and her overall passion for helping others is beyond words. She is a natural advocate and always looks out for the best interests of her victims that she works with. Katie is an integral part of the volunteer program and the Victims Assistance Program as a whole. And we are forever grateful to have her as a volunteer with us. That was her letter. What I want to say is what victims say about her is she has an incredible large heart. That's what we heard. She takes the hard calls with empathy and grace. And so I asked her some questions and I said, why? And she says, I love to help. I love to help, especially the people that are having a hard time. Her best attribute is the Rawlins people. That's what she said. And if she could change something, she'd love more volunteers. There's not enough. And she just loves this community. This community is her home. So personally, I want to say her enthusiasm and her passion during her interview was just amazing. And she's just an amazing person. And her money is, of course, going to Carbon County Cove. So, Katie Schinkel.
Thank you so much.
Family up there. I'll get the picture, right? Yeah. We're all good. We'll fit. Somebody has to hold this. Okay. I'll just hold them. Hold it, Jack. Hold the money. Okay. Want to look at the camera? Cheese. Thank you, Katie. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie, for all that you do for the City of Rawlins. All right. Moving down to reports and information, and we will start with the city manager and staff reports. pass it over to you.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. So after a little break, we're back, and so I feel like I've got a lot of stuff on the plate here to share with. Starting off, some landfill information. The landfill will be closing at 1 p.m. Thursday, May 9th, for a computer upgrade. We apologize for any inconvenience, and we will reopen the following day. When you do go out there, you'll notice that maybe we have a new loader at the landfill, and we're also working with the Public Works Department is working with the DEQ about establishing a composting area for the landfill for the year. We did have our staff meeting this morning, and we discussed had our initial budget meeting with the staff as a whole. That was led by our finance director, Laura Malone. And I did want to make sure and remind the citizens and as well as the council about the upcoming work sessions we have planned for the council. And so for fiscal year 27 budget, this will be Thursday, May 7th, Monday, May 11th, and Thursday, May 14th, with these work sessions starting at 6 p.m. And Tuesday, May 5th work session will be following the regular council meeting. All meetings will be held in the council chambers, and the public is certainly welcome to attend. We have started we didn't really stop, but we are still plugging away with our Edinburgh project, the street, and so that's moving forward well. The Higley Boulevard pedestrian underpass will be starting construction May 1st, and so I do want to make sure that the people know that, because that will create quite a bit of a little bit of turn and the way those trucks are going to be rerouted through town. The golf course is open for the season. The city is also continuing to move forward with our concessionaire out there, so hopefully be full force with that within another month. As well, the golf course has started the cart paths project. We received 1,200 tons of mill and overlay from the Public Works Department. Thank you, Public Works, to continue that project out there. I think it's also worth pointing out that our longtime, 4 or 5 years, I think, Abe Colsey is moving on to greener pastures, I guess you could say. He's got a job in Pinedale, and he's going to go work for the golf course up there. So kind of sad to see him go, but and he's sad to leave us, but he's moving on to a better job maybe for him, better opportunity. And in that vein also, we did close our candidates opening for our Parks and Rec Director position. I think we received about 20 candidates, and so our HR department and myself have started working through those and kind of assessing them and setting up a timeline for when we can start doing Zoom interviews first, and then we'll get candidates leveled down from there, and then we'll invite the last handful to come for in-person interviews. And so hopefully working through that, be nice towards middle end of May, maybe, to try and get somebody on board for that would be a good outlook. Our shooting range, our outdoor shooting range, will be having a work day this weekend, Saturday, April 11th at 10 a.m. City's going to be helping them out with the Public Works again. Our very gracious Public Works is going to be helping them out with moving some of the more heavier rock and stuff around to help with the targets and just the upkeep, as well as I think some of the facilities as well. Get those in good shape for the summer. Our fiber companies actually are going to be starting to work around town. We are going to be working with our public information officer, our PR person, to make sure and have things posted on our website, as those two organizations that met with us, they want to be informed if anything goes wrong so they can take care of those things. And so we're going to make sure to have that information available to the public as those companies do their work throughout town. So it's going to be really busy in town for a little while with things going on. Something that's a little bit more within our priorities The bid opening for the Sage Creek Pipeline Cathodic Protection Rehab is scheduled for Tuesday, April 21st. I think we're looking for June to be a starting date on that. And so that, as you all know, is our first big project for our transmission line. So really excited about that. We had quite a bit, even more participation than we thought we would, actually, from companies interested in that project. So that's be good to look forward to this summer. And beyond that, that's all I have, Your Honor.
Oh, go ahead.
I might have missed it, but what did we figure out about the fiber lines making cuts? Remember they were going to be charged a certain dollar amount?
So you passed at the last meeting the franchise agreements that you'll be working with those guys. So that's set up.
Was there a dollar figure for it?
No. I mean, it wasn't what we kind of had talked about before. The dollar, I guess, is what they pay. I mean, the franchise agreement is set up, and that when people sign up, then we get a certain amount of franchise fees from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so I'm talking about cutting into the street cuts.
You're welcome to. Go ahead.
So in regard to a right-of-way permit fee, it was determined not to proceed with that option. So there is not a specific right-of-way permit fee. So but there are other permits that are required, such as contractor fees and contractor licenses, that are all under the kind of regular construction umbrella.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, City Manager. Moving down to City Attorney report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Honorable Council. So the city's been working with Civic Plus. They are the company who also serve as the foundation for the main city website, and through their Municode division to publish the city's municipal code online. This is the same platform that's used by the majority of municipalities throughout Wyoming. It's the same platform used by Casper, Laramie, Cheyenne, even Saratoga. So the project is now complete, and the code has been uploaded, and there are active links. The online code will be accessible through the city's website within the next week or so. We are just finalizing how that's going to look and making sure that all the links are working. So at this time, the online version reflects the formal completion of the city's currently adopted and active ordinances. And this effort doesn't require recodification, republication, or anything like that. It's simply just, here it exists in paper, now it's available online. So there's no formal process that we need to undertake. And it's also important to note that the online code only includes the general and permanent ordinances that are here in these books, the code. It doesn't include other ordinance actions that are undertaken, like franchise agreements, and for example, there's also a vacation of a street that is up as an ordinance. That's just the process versus the governing laws. So this is a big update for transparency and accessibility for everybody, for the public, for staff, and we will make sure that everything is updated. And when updates happen, they happen, right now we are on a plan that we kind of have unlimited, but it's like within reason is what they told me. So we can't go around changing things and be, subject to the 1 fee. But this is a great advancement for our access to the code.
It's been a long time coming.
Yes.
Thank you.
Nothing further. Thank you.
All right, moving down to City Council updates. Councilwoman Linda.
I just had a quick question. I saw vehicles up on the Lawrence property. What are we still doing up there? Is there something going on up there? Are we continuing to clean it up?
Move this down. Madam Mayor, Honorable Council, we're at a standstill with what we can haul out to the landfill now. We're at capacity with tires. We have done the soil study. That came back today. The city manager and myself will go through that tomorrow. So far, everything looks really good with what they've done. So future plans are to realign the bottom portion on Spruce Street to accommodate residential housing, mobile homes, whatever we can accommodate. First step's going to be to change that to residential on the bottom, commercial up top. So that's going to be boundary line adjustments that we would have to go to planning and zoning. Once we get that accomplished, come to council with the changes, and then keep moving forward with our plan. But as far as, I'd say 99.9% of everything up top is gone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
Thanks.
Any other Councilmember Elliott?
It's been very busy. I've had a lot of people come up to me, so I'm going to try to go through this quickly. Okay. With the winter, we have had a lack of moisture. We're expecting water restrictions. Will there be any water restrictions?
So we're having probably some meetings on that, but to be determined.
Okay. Will the restrictions also affect the golf course? The water from the golf course can be diverted to the water treatment plant to reduce the need to go on water restrictions for residents.
That water comes from the river. It's untreated water. The
Right.
stuff that comes from our plant is what comes and waters our grass in town. So it's a whole different system, water system.
So the gentleman told me that the water that's coming from there can go to the water treatment plant and be treated.
From the river. The
Correct.
river water can be, yes. Cody, do you want to comment?
No, that's accurate. The line can go all the way to the water treatment plant from the river.
Madam Mayor, Honorable Council, so a little bit of clarification. It can do that, but in the meantime, what we do is we keep the water charged all the way to the golf course, and we trickle it into the irrigation pond so they have water to irrigate with, and then it's easier for us to charge the line all the way up to the plant when we do need the water. We do not need the water at all times. We can only treat so much water, and our reservoirs can only take in so much water. So when we don't need to fill the reservoirs to put through the treatment plant, we will keep it charged to the golf course and be able to trickle water in there. We did have talks with the state this week about watching and concerns with water throughout this year, and we will look at, watching what we use for water and irrigation across citywide.
If it gets bad, though, that water can be diverted to the water treatment plant, treated, and then the residents can use it in Rawlins.
Yeah, absolutely. But it will not be consistent. It will not be a consistent flow. Because once we fill up the reservoirs, we have to stop that line so we don't overflow the reservoirs. And at any given time, we only flow for a couple days at a time.
Okay. What's the estimated completion date for the Edinburgh project?
Madam Mayor, Honorable Council. So in the meetings we're having, we're still looking, they are still shooting for October. So they brought in more crews to accommodate that completion date. So we are still looking in fall for asphalt to complete the project. So that is still the schedule that we're looking at.
Will the asphalt be coming from our asphalt plant to reduce cost?
No, we do not have a plant that can supply that volume of asphalt.
Okay. When will the underpass be repaired from the falling or crumbling concrete? Murals can be painted under the bridge on the pillars to improve its look and appeal to the community. So that crumbling concrete has been there for years now. And so when is that going to be repaired?
That is a 2027 project, probably 28 project, YDOT project. That is their bridge. And they are slated to get that project rolling probably 2027 is when the funding, it has to be funded and into construction in 27.
A concern from a local business person on local food trucks. Are they paying for water and sewage? If not, why not? If they're getting their water from their residents and dumping their tanks at their residence for their business purposes, then why should we also, then why are they, brick and mortar businesses, being charged to pay water and sewer for their businesses? This local person, local business person who has a couple of brick and mortar businesses is upset that brick and mortar businesses are having to pay both their residential and commercial water and sewer, while food trucks do not. They feel the fee should be included in their annual permit. We would receive an increase of revenue by doing this. The gentleman told me that they're paying maybe, I think he said $15 or $50 a year for a permit for their food trucks, and it's still a business. So where are they getting their water, and where are they dumping their water?
I'm not sure where they're dumping their water, but even if they're filling from the house, it's still metered water that they're paying for. There is no bathrooms on these trucks. That's why they park in parking lots, so they can have access to bathrooms. I think that's part of the health code, is that they have to be within a certain distance from a bathroom. But either way, they're paying for their water.
For their business purpose, they're getting the water from their residential property and using it in their business. I guess that's what he's getting at. So he's feeling that it could be included in their annual rate or their annual permit. Could that be a possibility in the future?
I think it'd be a fee structure that
We would have
That would be a
to
council
decide
fee
on that as a
structure, yeah.
council.
Madam Mayor and council, so the food trucks, we have permits for non-residents, not for residents, but for non-residents. It's $50 a week, $150 for a month, or $250 for a year. So those are the fees, and it goes through the clerk's office to get those. And there are requirements. It's on our ordinance and resolution. So I make sure I follow those to a T.
Thank you.
Okay, and those are for non-residents that are paying the permits?
Yes.
And then for residents, they're not having to pay a permit?
Correct.
Okay. At a recent city council meeting that was held, I gave incorrect figures for the spaces available at Rawlins Plaza. There are 2 spaces available. The smaller space that was Family Dollar is $99,910 annually, or $8,325 monthly. The larger space is $187,760 annually, or $15,646 monthly. And that was actually brought up by Councilwoman Tanya Lewin. I appreciate it. We have 2 interested parties to open a furniture store here in Rawlins. I was told Rawlins is a gemstone in Wyoming. We're the county seat and the largest county in Wyoming that encompasses many small towns, plus 100 miles from any other large community. The next one, the city streets are not continuously swept, nor the sidewalks. We need to do much better. Besides in town, as you are coming and going from town, it is not welcoming to our tourists. As a community, we've become used to the town looking dirty, so we just go with it. But the same dirt and debris that have been there for years now, it's a terrible look. Paint on the curbs are dull and faded away. Another one, the parks are now opening up again, and the weather has been nice enough to keep up with our parks, but with the advantage of the good weather, the parks are going by the wayside. Besides picking up trash, we have not kept up with the appearance of Bolton Park. Most recently, I received a complaint of broken glass and debris on the sidewalk. I passed this information on to Matt, and the lady who reported it to me said that the city went and did some cleanup there. When will the potholes in town be fixed? They are everywhere this year and cannot blame it on the snow. This should be done by the city workers, not outsourced, but also done correctly At times when the city patches the potholes, it turns out worse than the potholes themselves. During the summer, city needs to focus on streets and sidewalks, repairing and maintaining them. What else did they tell me? Just a couple more. The city has been doing some cutting of weeds, but not going back and raking up or picking up the trash or debris, or weed eating around objects such as fire hydrants or sidewalk edges. Next one, why do we not know what businesses are open or closed? I've been asked about this. What's going on at Burger King or the Old China Panda / Oasis Church? And I have no clue. The business, do businesses have a procedure before opening a business? Can this be added to the Rawlins website, or businesses opening and closing? It'd be very helpful for information to the public and also to us as city council people. So somebody was asking me about what's going on at Burger King. I said, I have no clue. And then somebody said, well, what's going on at Oasis Church? And before it was advertised on Rawlins News and Chatter, I had no clue. So is there a procedure when somebody wants to open up a business or they're doing work on businesses that we'd be able to maybe possibly include that in a report on the agenda or advertised on the Rawlins website? So do we know, like, if somebody's going to open something up, is there a way of us knowing in advance?
Vice Mayor.
It would be up to the business owner to disclose it. If they want people to know that they're getting ready to open doors a couple weeks ahead and kind of, do a ribbon cutting, that's the business owner's call. They don't have to report that to anybody and say, hey, we're opening. They can just open and they're there just like they do. So, and then we find out the same way as everybody else does when they start advertising.
Yeah. If they don't, then it looks like we're uninformed of what's going on within the city.
But it's not our job to tell a business, we're going to advertise for you. The business is the one to tell us, hey, would you help us out advertising, right? We're not in control of them.
Do we issue a business license to them to operate?
Yes. But you're talking about letting everybody know when they're open for business,
they're
don't we?
very limited.
Okay.
Our business licenses are very limited. They don't cover every business that opens.
So we would just know whenever they advertise it. That's what I'll let them know. A new business in town. So a gentleman stopped me. He said that he is a new business, and I've never heard of him before. But the business name is JP. I don't know if he's here today. He said he was going to be, but he does lawn care, rototilling, snow removal. I believe he said that he spoke with Lou and Matt. He is eager to help with the city clean and maintain properties that are abandoned and neglected by the city. And that's all I have.
Councilmember Singer?
Just a clarification, you said abandoned by the city. The city abandoned them, or they're abandoned properties?
They're abandoned properties.
Okay. So they're under the responsibility of the owner of the property?
They're abandoned properties that the city owns or took over.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I meant.
That's what he told me.
Okay.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lemon.
Pam, did you have more information about the furniture stores?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Yeah, I've just been in contact with both of them, and the one from Rushmore, he's had some personal things going on, and we're planning a trip. He's planning a trip over here to look at some spots, some locations. Just wanted to update you.
I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Pam. All right. Oh, Vice Mayor.
Okay, this is a question for the council, Madam Mayor, and yourself. get composed here. A few years ago, it was brought to our attention that there's going to be a unified dispatch center, and we went through the presentation. It was a good presentation presented by the sheriff. This last year, 2025, the council requested to have more information brought to us by staff to evaluate the idea of joining or not joining, just to get the figures and see everything. Today, I'd like to propose an idea. Matt Hall's going to be pretty busy with our budget coming up in May, and then I'd like to help him find efficiencies if we can. What we have is, the reality is the Carbon County has already successfully launched their unified dispatch center according to official county records. Sheriff Bakken formed a formal advisory group last year, I think it was around June, and the system for the Saratoga County actually went live, I believe it was July last year. Since this is already a functioning system and an advisory group is in place, that was the other thing they formed. I propose that we establish a joint dispatch exploratory committee tonight. I would like to be on the committee if possible, and have one other council member, Matt Hall, our city manager, Matt Hall, and a representative from the police department. The goal would be simply to join the sheriff's existing advisory group so we can review their actual operating data and cost sharing models, and then we can take the information gathered and have a detailed evaluation for the council and the citizens moving forward. So, the goal, if we could, I don't know if it would be realistic, but if we could get numbers before we hit our budget in May, that would be amazing. I don't think it's possible, but I do know in a recent meeting, the sheriff had mentioned putting together I can't think of the word, of a financial audit of their system to see how everything's doing. And I think it's perfect timing to get on board with that and say, hey, we can have our numbers included and see how this falls out. We could get a real good picture of the bigger picture and see what we can come up with. So, with the council's pleasure, I would like to create that committee.
Go ahead, Councilmember Elliott.
I might be off base with this, and I'm not sure, but are you talking about unifying it into one central location?
Correct. The current system is unified between the town of Saratoga and the county. If everything worked out perfectly, and then we had really good cost savings, and this would really benefit, and there was benefit in time savings with calls being transferred. That's what you would want. We would unify everything and create one big dispatch center.
If I recall, the reason that it did not go through, and I could be wrong, is because if one center goes down, then they would not have access to relay information. And it would be a good question for the Chief Ward. What's your input on it, of having one central location versus two? Because if one goes down, then we would not be able to,
Just a
I'm
moment.
sorry,
Just
yes.
a moment. I think the question on the table is if we should form a committee to evaluate this piece. Do we have a head nod on if we would like to form a committee? I guess it's.
Yes.
Would you like some more information, ma'am, before that or after that?
Just one moment, Chief. Councilmember Sanger, go ahead.
Sure. I'm good.
Okay. Is there a a secondary person that would be willing to
Yes.
serve with vice mayor. Okay. Chief, would you like to provide some input?
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to give you a little bit of history on this. There was never a determination that we were moving towards a joint dispatch center. A couple of years ago, the sheriff began speaking about this topic publicly, and at the time, he was doing that without having consulted with Saratoga Police or the Rawlins Police. At that time, there were 3 dispatch centers in Carbon County: the sheriff's, Rawlins, and Saratoga. Saratoga was in a position where I don't believe that they could have maintained their dispatch center. I believe that was common knowledge. At the time, they were handling police and fire dispatch in Saratoga. Rawlins City Dispatch was handling all emergency communications within the city of Rawlins, and the county dispatch was handling everything else. Previously, the Federal Communications Commission had designated the Rawlins dispatch as the primary public safety answering point for Carbon County. What that means is, in any large city or county, there's one point where all cell phone calls have to go. Our cell phones are constantly communicating with the closest cell tower. When somebody calls 911 from a landline, it's easy. It's going to go where it's supposed to go. When the call's received, they know where it's coming from. Cell phones are different. So our cell phones are constantly communicating with the closest cell tower. Without making a call, my cell phone is hitting off the closest cell tower right now. It's saying, I'm here, you're there, I'm here, you're there, I'm here, you're there. And then if I was to make a call, that cell tower, which is already talking with my phone, would connect that call. The problem is that when somebody calls 911, our phone knows that you're calling 911. It's going to hit the closest tower that's available, but neither the phone nor the tower know what the caller actually needs other than it's 911. They don't know if it's a call for highway patrol. They don't know if it's a call in the city of Rawlins. They don't know if it's a call in the county. So the FCC designates a primary public service answering point. Years ago, they designated Rawlins Dispatch as that point for a couple reasons. The majority of the calls for service in Carbon County are calls for service within the city of Rawlins. Last time I checked the numbers of all 911 calls made from cell phones within Carbon County, anywhere, about 58% of them were for service within the city of Rawlins. 25% of them were for highway patrol, and 12% of them were for the county sheriffs, who were also at the time dispatching for Medbo, Hannah, Bags, anything else. About 1% to 2% of those calls were for Saratoga. So the sheriff began talking about this publicly without having communicated with the other stakeholders. And what happened at that point was the sheriff did not form any committee. Saratoga came to me and said, Mike, you have a dispatch, I have a dispatch, the sheriff has a dispatch. We should all get together and we should all be on the same page, seeing as one of the 3 of us is speaking publicly and the other 2 aren't. I agreed with him, and we got together with the sheriff and we formed a committee. The goal of this committee, as discussed with the 3 of us, was to gather information about emergency communications within Carbon County so that we could report it back to the decision makers, for Rawlins, obviously yourselves. We spoke specifically about what we were going to call this working group. We decided we were not going to call it a joint dispatch working group because the purpose of the group was not to move forward towards a joint dispatch. That wasn't our decision to make. We decided that we were going to call it an emergency communications exploratory group so that we could gather information and then present it. We decided that on the topic of joint dispatch, we should study other jurisdictions in Wyoming that had previously had multiple dispatch centers, which they then combined. And we identified 2. When we talk about complex issues, and this is a complex issue, if it wasn't, something would have been done about this years ago. This is a complex issue. When we talk about complex issues, usually the way it's done is a problem statement is agreed upon, and then terms are defined so that everybody understands what we're talking about. Usually then there's research, which we were planning on conducting, and then options are presented to the decision makers with opinions by the experts, ultimately to provide the decision makers with the information they need to choose something, if anything. One of the problems with this topic in Carbon County is that the terms were never defined. Okay, terms have been thrown around like joint dispatch. And it seems like, okay, that's pretty simple to understand, but it's not. So there are counties in Wyoming that have one dispatch, and you could refer to them as a joint dispatch, but they've only ever had one dispatch. Are they a joint dispatch? Sure. But is that what's applicable to our topic in Carbon County? And I would say only a little bit. For the topic or the conversation of joint dispatch in Carbon County, what we should be looking at and talking about is other jurisdictions that had multiple dispatches that they combined into one. Another term that was never defined is the term Joint Powers Board. And that's another term that's been thrown around in this conversation in our county, but never defined. What does a Joint Powers Board mean? Because there are many different versions of Joint Powers Boards. And it's also been thrown out inappropriately to mean something that it's not. So the definition of terms is critical to any conversation, but it was never accomplished in this conversation. So we got together, and our goal was to go look at 2 other counties that we identified that had had previously in recent history multiple dispatch centers, and then they combined them. And our goal was to travel to these places, talk to the law enforcement leaders about their experience, and bring that information back to you. We did that. A little over a year ago, we went to one county and spoke with 2 police chiefs and a sheriff. And a little less than a year ago, we went to another county and talked to 2 police chiefs and a sheriff. I went with 2 representatives of the Saratoga Police Department. The sheriff decided not to go. We agreed to share the information with him. What we learned was that on this complex issue of the topic of joint dispatching, emergency joint dispatching in Carbon County, there were a number of misnomers or theories that initially sound good, but turned out to be 100% false. And like any rumor, any good rumor, this information was easy to believe because it kind of made sense. One of these theories was the fact that operating one joint dispatch center has got to be cheaper than operating multiple. Turns out that we were told that's not the case, and there's a number of reasons for that. It seems logical that one center would be cheaper than 2. However, what we found out from the 2 jurisdictions that we visited was that they had to buy all new equipment to start up their new center. The mismatch of equipment from the different centers was not compatible, and the cost of starting up that one center was phenomenal in both locations that we spoke to. Not only that, but you have to have a location. The location has to be right for a joint dispatch center. It can't be in a pre-existing building. It doesn't have the right temperature controls, wiring, electricity, and things like that. So we were told specifically, if you guys do this, and by the way, we were told by everybody we spoke to that they were not happy with theirs. And it was recommended to us that we don't do it. Every chief and sheriff that we spoke to that went from their own dispatch to a joint dispatch is not happy. A lot of it has to do with the lack of control they have. A lot of it has to do with no perceived savings, or if there ever are, at least we were told a decade down the line. Joint powers boards are not effective in relation to emergency communication centers because the members of the joint powers boards are either not law enforcement or the law enforcement is one of many, and therefore their vote gets watered down and they can't make any changes. What is upsetting about this for these law enforcement leaders is that emergency communications is a big piece of the public safety that they're providing to their communities. And they have problems with the way it's been now structured and no mechanism to change it. That's very concerning for them, but I'm bouncing a little bit. One of the main messages was they did not save money. They spent a phenomenal amount of money to get it up and running. They had to purchase all new equipment. In one of the jurisdictions we went to, it only came back up because they were building a new justice center, and the jurisdictions saw that as an opportunity now to build emergency communications jointly in that center. Where I went, who I spoke to isn't a top secret, but I don't really want to say who, because I'm speaking for public officials that are not ours. So one of the myths was that this will save money. And I say myth because it sounds logical that it should be that way. In actuality, the people we talked to said it's not that way at all. Another big issue is the personnel resources. Major issues in both places that we went to, combining employees from different jurisdictions into one, working on, nobody was happy at all. Morale was horrible. And some of the jurisdictions had to backfill these employees. Rawlins Police would have to backfill because our dispatchers are also our records custodians and the face of the department. So for the city of Rawlins, if we were to somehow consolidate our dispatchers with the counties someplace else, we would now have to hire new employees to handle our records and be the face of the department, somebody to speak to when they come in. We're not saving any money on personnel. It's going to cost us more. Also, in one jurisdiction where a joint powers board covered the new joint dispatch center, the jurisdictions, 2 cities and a county, have no control over what they're paying because basically what the joint powers board agrees that they need to spend money on, those jurisdictions are responsible for coming up with it. Many problems. I have extensive notes from all of the visits I went to. I can go on longer. I will say a few other things. The Sheriff's Unified Dispatch Center, that's just a name. The only change is that the Sheriff's Office took over dispatching for Saratoga, Fire and Police, which accounted for 1 or 2% last time I checked of the total number of emergency calls made by cell phones in the county. No different than dispatching for Sinclair, no different than dispatching for Hannah, no different than previously dispatching for Medicine Bow. That's not unified. They really just picked up dispatching for another small agency and another small fire department. So I would be careful with terminology. I would stress that this is a complex issue. There is no easy answer. From where I stand now, from everything I know, I'm totally against it. I'm telling you that with 32 years of experience in public safety. I will also say this.
That kind of scared me.
Our 2 dispatch centers currently, the sheriff's and the city of Rawlins, are working together very well. They complement each other. When they have either a planned upgrade where it's going to take their dispatch center out of service, we cover for them. When we have a planned thing, they cover for us. That's just planned. When we deal with technology, there are problems all the time. Recently, they lost their ability to accept phone calls for about a week. We took over accepting those phone calls and transferring them to them. And it's vice versa. Our dispatchers and our dispatch supervisors are working together extremely well, and complementing each other is a good definition of how they're operating. So, Along those lines, redundancy is critical with technology. Where I came from was a much bigger jurisdiction. Our population was about twice that of Wyoming's, crammed into 500 square miles of a county. The county police that I worked for were the primary law enforcement agency we dispatched for the county. They built about 20 years ago a new Emergency Communications Center, ECC, a whole building, beautiful, where they moved all of our call taking and dispatching operations into, and it was run by civilians, part of the police department. However, what they did was kept the old center fully equipped, fully operational, so that when the primary center failed, they rotated over to the secondary old center. Okay? There are several counties I'm aware of where there's just one dispatch center, whether it always existed that way or they consolidated. I'm going to wrap up in just a second, Your Honor. Judge. Mrs. Mayor, I apologize. They maintain a secondary dispatch center, usually in a fire station. What that means is if there's only one dispatch center, there has to be a backup, which also has to be paid for and maintained, so that when the primary center goes down, and they do, there's a secondary center for the dispatchers to respond to and start dispatching again. And during that gap, by the way, nobody's taking calls, nobody's talking to the first responders, there's no dispatch going on. Okay, one more quick thing. One of the jurisdictions we talked to that consolidated had two police departments and a sheriff's department that were talking about consolidating, and at the last minute, one of the police departments backed out. And that made a lot of people mad. It turned into a silver lining, because when that police department backed out of joining a joint dispatch, they today serve as the backup to that primary and vice versa. And all of the law enforcement leaders I spoke to said, thank God they backed out, because without them we wouldn't have a backup system. So these are the types of considerations that on the surface people may not be thinking of. This is an extremely complex topic that deals with public safety, which is obviously a critical topic. I've looked into it. I'm not for it right now.
May I suggest that the two members that volunteered, yourself and Matt, get together and you guys could have these complex talks that we don't have to do,
Sure.
in the middle of a city council update.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we can go forward from there and potentially have a work session to further dive into whatever is discovered. Is that agreeable? All right, let's move.
Madam Mayor, I believe fire has a stake in this as well.
And absolutely, yes. We would invite you as well. Okay, all right, moving down to new business.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And to approve the accounts payable of March 7th, 2026. Councilmember Sanger.
I move to approve the accounts payable register for the period of March 7th, 2026 to March 27th, 2026 in the amount of $1,076,962.18.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to approve the accounts payable register for a period of March 7th through March 27th, 2026. Any discussion? Councilmember Elliott.
If we look under, I believe it's page 1, for Acme Electric, connect all electrical and new emergency, also repaired lights, briefing room, men's room. Did we put that out there for bid? Because I know that, goodness gracious, I forgot their name now. Another electrical company is in Brannan. They were wanting to be part of bid processes here in Rawlins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, all of our council. With this process, what we ask for is 2 quotes he would like to see bids, but that's not what the city does. We go out to every electrical company and offer a quote for projects that we have, because we have to have qualified master electricians to work on anything electrical within the city. We go get quotes from different contractors, and we go with the cheapest contractor. That's how the process is with the city. We get quotes.
For a certain budgeted amount.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
These are usually emergency projects where we're losing electrical, something's old, something's out. We're working through buildings and getting electrical stuff fixed and updated. So we will go out and get quotes from different electrical companies for a certain amount. Acme just is always right in that wheelhouse of being the company to go to for the lowest quote.
So what's the dollar amount to receive a quote that you would reach out and get a quote?
It's anything under or anything over $100.
Did you get quotes from Zimbrennan for this project?
We have asked him. He will not give us quotes.
For this certain project?
For all projects. We've reached out to him many, many times.
Okay. Another one under Amazon, break room and restocking, cake, cups, plates, and former experiences at a former organization for break room. The employees would bring in their own supplies for that. It may sound silly, but this is taxpayers' money that we're using to fund our break rooms. So I disagree with that. Another one, if we look at some other items, shop vac, head shears, wrench kit, or wrench set. My question is, why are we purchasing these if we've had them before? If we're purchasing items, something must have happened to the previous item. Now, I can understand if something was used enough and it burned out, but when I first started at that former organization, you were assigned a set of tools and you were responsible for those tools. If you lost them, you would have to pay for them out of your pocket. So is that how it's done in the city? Are tools assigned to new employees when they start? And if they go and they purchase items like a wrench, screwdrivers, whatever, are they having to give an explanation of what happened to their tools?
Madam Mayor and Council, it really depends on the departments, but most of the trucks are equipped with tools. And tools do wear out considerably often with the amount of use that our staff uses them. So about yearly, we have to retool trucks.
Again, this might sound like it's silly, but it's not our money, it's taxpayers' money. So these are my questions. The next one, the CPR training. Is there not an employee currently certified to be a trainer? And if we could have a certified trainer, then we would have saved $715 here. So if it's, I would imagine that it would be the fire chief that could do CPR training and get trained, and we would save money there.
There is still costs associated with teaching a class.
Sure, like books,
Yes,
etc.
all the things. Go ahead now, Chief.
Madam Mayor and Council, at the time that class, I was asked, we did not have an instructor. I do have one of my guys that has been in instructor class this week. However, that doesn't mean that he's going to be able to teach to anybody. It's still availability is time, all those kind of things, and there is a cost for every card, all of those kind of things. So for a lot of those, it's almost apples to apples, whether it's an employee or somebody else teaching that class.
Okay. Let's see. I believe there's just a couple more, guys. Another one. Oh, let's see. No, not that.
Councilmember Elliott, may
Sure.
I suggest that you bring these up to our city manager prior to the meeting? And if you disagree with anything, just please feel free to just vote no.
Sure. So the reason also bringing this up is information to the public. so they know
They
that
have
we,
the access as well.
they have the access to it. But that way they know that we are also asking questions about their money being spent.
Yes, but we are wasting a considerable amount of time going through every item that was approved in our budget last year for expenditures.
Correct. I don't believe it's a waste of time, but what I can do is then I will ask Matt about these, but then I also want the public to know that we are looking at what's being spent of their money.
Absolutely, but we
It's a lot of
we
money.
do have the ability when it comes budget session
Yeah.
to deny the budget if you do not feel that it's appropriate.
I understand what you're saying. I hope you see what I'm saying also. Okay, well, I'll leave it at that. There's a lot more, but we'll leave it at that, and I'll vote no on this one.
All right, any other discussion? Then will you open online voting, please?
Online voting is open. Councilmember Elliott. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas, 1 nay, and 1 abstain. The Vice Mayor Garner abstained and Councilmember Elliott voted nay.
Okay, moving down to the approval to the First Amendment to Municipal Solid Waste Transportation Agreement. Councilmember Patterson. Sorry, your name escaped me for 10 seconds there.
Move to approve the first addendum to the Municipal Solid Waste Transportation Agreement between the City of Rawlins and Dirty Boys Sanitation Service Incorporated.
Second.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Mayor. All right, the motion's been made and seconded to approve first addendum to the Municipal Solid Waste Transportation Agreement between the City of Rawlins and Dirty Boys Sanitation Services. And I'm listed as the presenter, but I feel like Attorney Mayberry could give a better overview than I would be able to.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Mayor, Honorable Council. This addendum reflects just clarification of some of the terms that are part of the governing agreement. The big thing, if you will, click onto the agreement and kind of just scroll down. One of the big things is, I'm sorry, let me get to my notes here, is it provides clarifications to the facility access and staging areas, regulatory and permit compliance, and coordination of operations. And this just really is clarification of any of those items that were maybe a little bit vague. One of the big things on this addendum, and importantly, just to clarify for council, an addendum is just a clarification versus an amendment, which changes terms. So if you actually scroll to the very bottom, there is an exhibit. It's a picture. And it just provides clarification on staging areas to allow Dirty Boys to just facilitate their transfer and coordination with their vehicles to complete operations.
Great, thank you, Attorney Mayberry. Does Dirty Boys have any comments, Rose?
No, I'm not going to make any comments.
Okay.
You know how I feel.
Thank you, Rose. Any questions? Comments?
I'm sorry, what's the amendment to it? Is it highlighted?
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, Councilor Elliott, it's not an amendment, it's an addendum. So the distinction is it's not changing any terms, it's just providing additional clarification.
Okay.
further discussion? Lynn, will you open online voting, please?
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed and motion passes with 6 yeas and 1 not present to vote. And that was Vice Mayor Martin.
Will somebody retrieve Vice Mayor Garner for me? So he can resume the meeting. All right, moving down to approve Motorola Solution AXS upgrade contract. Do I hear a motion? Councilmember Patterson?
Move to approve and enter into the Motorola Solution AXS upgrade contract with the 5-year financing option costing $92,570.07 per year, with the first payment being due 1 year after the execution of the contract.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to enter into a Motorola Solution AXS upgrade contract. And I have Finance Director Malone and Police Chief Mike Ward. You would like to just give us an update.
Madam Mayor, Honorable Council, this is a backup dispatch computer that is kept at our dispatch center. The county also has one. We have 3 of these units. This does not include county. This is strictly our 3 units. Motorola recently reached out to us regarding our contract with them, which we already have a maintenance contract with them, offering us this upgrade at a $140,000 discount. Motorola does not typically do these kinds of discounts. This was a special sort of circumstance for them. They also allowed us to delay our decision so that we could bring it before council. So they're actually holding this discount for us temporarily. When I reached out, the original amount was significantly higher. It's $398,683 in total. This is not an amount that we currently have appropriated in our budget for this fiscal year. So when I talked to them, they did offer some financing options that I think would make it a little bit more affordable for us over the 5-year maintenance agreement that we already have. And that's why I offered the 5-year option to go with them for that payment plan.
Chief Ward, are these the mobile units?
This is actually both of our permanent consoles in the police station and the 2 mobile units. They are going to be end of life at 2030. They're end of service, I believe, next year. And the last time they were updated in the police station for the permanent consoles was 2016. We were planning on bringing this into the budget in the next year or 2. And then we found out that Motorola rarely offers discounts, but they were offering a significant one right now. Also, the implementation potentially of this now will include maintenance for 5 years. If we don't do this, we're going to be paying a total of about $200,000 over 5 years to keep maintaining them. That would be covered under the new agreement.
Great. Any discussion? Councilmember Smith?
So you said that there were a replacement total of 5 consoles. 2 of them that stay here, 2 of them that are at the city's ORNI, and 1 that's the county's.
It's listed in the quote that they gave us, but that's not what we're asking you for. The county's on their own. They piggybacked on the city a number of years ago when we purchased the 2 mobile consoles. They bought theirs. This contract has nothing to do with that 5th one that the county owns. It only has to do with the city's 2 permanent consoles in the police station and the 2 mobile consoles.
So why does it say summary of proposed equipment?
That is what they sent us as a summary. They didn't understand the difference between R4 and the county's 1. What the finance director discussed with them severs that and only has R4.
So it doesn't have anything to do with that. So the pricing is based on 4, not 5?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Vice Mayor?
She actually.
Oh, go ahead, Councilwoman.
So would he have to change his motion? Because the motion has 5. Does it say 5? Oh, it's 5 years. Okay, not 5. 5 units. Never mind.
Vice Mayor?
This brings me back to what we talked about earlier. I would like to postpone this. The reason is if we can get the information that we want on this from that feasibility study and find out what the possibilities are with having a dispatch center, if we can work with the county with it, I think it would be worth our time and money to look at this, because if there's potential savings, which we haven't seen yet, and I would like to see, before we sign an agreement for 5 years for $500,000, this is a perfect time to look into those numbers before we get into spending this money, because we're covered until fiscal year 29 with this equipment. If that's correct.
So, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
So, based on what I know, if we were to continue to explore the potential of combining, which I'm being told is going to cost us more money than remaining separate, and then a decision was made to combine the dispatches into one, which is going to involve multiple departments, multiple different jurisdictions, county, city, there's a couple year lag before it actually happens. It's not happening anytime soon. Then we are going to lose the $140,000 discount that we have right now on a short window that Motorola has agreed to extend so we could bring this before you. And then in a year or two, no matter where that process is in a discussion about consolidating dispatches, we're going to need the equipment still. I would argue that right now we have the savings, and the new equipment is going to be the life of this other process that you're talking about.
Vice Mayor?
So this, if we pass this, is this possible to future-proof if, let's say, the numbers come back really good at combining everything? It sounds like we use the same equipment they use.
No.
They're just that other piece of equipment.
Both jurisdictions I spoke with had to buy entirely new equipment, and one of those jurisdictions also had to buy entirely new backup equipment. There was no merging of anybody's equipment in any jurisdiction that I've spoken to.
Well, I'm speaking about the sheriff's department, the counties and ours.
They're not compatible.
The sheriff's department does not use it. The fifth piece of equipment is actually used by their emergency management person. Lenny, I believe is his name. I don't know his last name. I apologize.
Wayman.
Yep.
But it is not used by the sheriff's department.
So if we find out we're going to have cost savings, then we are locked in this for 5 years at this rate.
And that process, if it turns out there's savings by consolidating, which I have no indication is the truth, that process would take the life of this. Yeah. The processes in the other two jurisdictions that I talked to went on for years.
Any further discussion? Councilmember Elliott?
I just want to know the time frame that this is valid till.
What they told me is so that I can bring it to you today. So
the
it'll
deadline
expire
is
after
today.
this.
Tomorrow, next week, next year, next millennia?
I need to let them know how this meeting goes. At this point, they didn't give me a definite date, but they have already held it for 45 days.
That was my
Okay.
question.
Great. Any other discussion? Thank you. Lynn, will you open online voting, please?
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas and 1 nay. The 1 nay is Vice Mayor Harna.
Okay, moving down to a resolution. Vice Mayor?
Move to have the Finance Department recommend the City Council approve the resolution allowing the Finance Department to establish an account with Wyoming Governmental Investment Funds, WGIF, so that the current funds being held can be invested at higher interest rates.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to have the Finance Department recommend the City Council approve resolution allowing the Finance Department to establish an account with Wyoming Governmental Investment Funds so that the current funds being held can be invested at a higher interest rates. I will pass it on to you.
Madam Mayor, Honorable Council, Wyoming Government Investment Funds is actually an investing firm that you guys approved a little over 2 years ago. For some reason, I have no idea why, the final paperwork was not submitted to WGIF, and we discovered this through them contacting us. When I was finishing up all the paperwork to get it submitted, because we did have a resolution from you guys, they told us we were 2 days past our 2-year mark, which meant we had to start the process all over again. So this is simply allowing us a third option from, we already have WyoStar and WyoClass. This simply offers us a third option in the future to invest our money.
Thank you. Any discussion? Councilmember Sanger?
So that current funds being held where?
I'm sorry, what are you referring to?
Well, it says here that approve the resolution, department to establish an account with Wyoming Governmental Investment Funds so that current funds being held where? What current funds are we talking about and where are they?
So they can be in our depositories at RNB or Bank of Commerce. They could also be in any number of our other investments at WyoClass or WyoStar.
Okay, that was it.
Okay, all right. Any other discussion? Lynn, will you open on the voting, please?
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
All right, moving down to an ordinance to approve first reading and waive the reading of the ordinance approving planning and zoning application PC 2603001. Councilmember Sanger.
I move to approve the first reading and waive the reading of the ordinance approving planning and zoning application PZ 2603001, vacating the city's street right-of-way at the intersection of Bennett Street and Miller Street.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to approve first reading and waive the reading of the ordinance approving planning and zoning application PZ 2603001. Lou?
Madam Mayor and Honorable Council, when this came to my office, and I want to be clear here, that we followed the ordinance, Chapter 12. I know Mr. Cruz and his family. I know Mr. Leon and their family as well. So everything is based on the findings that we presented to planning and zoning. Before we even took it to planning and zoning, I made sure that we had all our T's crossed and our I's dotted with our attorney, which we got the okay from her, everything looked good. So we took it to planning and zoning and presented it to them. Mr. Cruz was there as well. Mr. Leon is working in Iowa right now, but his wife is here on his behalf. This was presented to the commission. It passed 3-1 to move it on to council. This property is right at the intersection of Bennett and Miller. And during the planning and zoning meeting, I I'd made the comment that it looked like it was a foot difference in elevation, which I was wrong. I went by there today, which it looks like it's 3-foot difference in elevation. Where the property line is, the property corner that was placed by Doug Boyd, WLC, is right behind the fire hydrant, which separates them two parcels that we have that we're trying to vacate. If you go off of Miller Street to the end of where Bennett was supposed to be, you drop off probably a 20-foot embankment, puts you into the county section, and then our walking track is there as well. So we looked at this. One, we looked to make sure we had no kind of infrastructure going into the center of that roadway that would have been there. There was none. Everything runs down the center of Bennett Street, tees off to the hydrant located right on the corner there where the street was supposed to be. This has been this way for years. And it's been in our ordinance since 89, I believe, when the ordinance was put out. So this has been in there. It wasn't something that was just put in overnight. This has been there since the ordinance was adopted by the city. Any questions? I'd be happy to try and answer.
Councilmember Singer.
So what do they want to do with this piece of dirt that runs to the west and comes to the county? What's the idea for the dirt itself?
His plan is to, from what I've heard, is to accommodate the trailers that he has there now with more space. So he owns the lot basically from where them lots are to the north that ties into our walking track next to Davis Street.
Okay. And so what does he want to do? It's just give access to them? It's a roadway anyway, so is he trying to get access to them? Is he trying to use the property for something?
He's trying to purchase the property from the city to allow him to do that.
Councilmember Patterson.
He's trying to purchase this property, but yet he's going to be impeding access to other residents in that area from being able to go into their lots.
No, the way this is divided up, there's two lots there. From where his property is, where the yellow line is there, where the cursor is, back to the south, where Mr. Cruz's property is, there's two vacant lots there that should have been city right-of-way. The land is just sitting there, not being used. It's basically, there's been vehicles parked there. There's been logs put there on Mr. Cruz's side. And if he can establish them lots, make better use of his land to the north, and possibly put another trailer in there, that's what the ultimate goal is. Now, keep in mind, Honorable Mayor and Council, the expenses to get this property surveyed, the appraisal that took place came out of the Mr. Leon's pocket. So on the other hand, if Mr. Cruz and Mr. Leon agree to, I'll sell you this portion, this lot, I keep this lot, Mr. Cruz or whatever they agree with, they get the quitclaim deed, a gentleman's handshake, and he owns one at no expense to Mr. Cruz, and other than what the lot cost itself. And all the expense for the survey, for the appraisal, is done by Mr. Leon. So he would encompass that cost on his behalf.
Councilwoman Moon.
So on Mr. Cruz's property, between the street and his property line, is that owned by us?
Where the red cursor is, that is city property there. From the yellow
Right.
down to the black line on Mr. Cruz's property,
But the black line does not go all the way to the street, or does it? Is that all?
it's
Mr.
just the
Cruz's
property line where the property markers are.
Okay.
So you
So
have.
I guess my question is, of the picture that he gave us, this one, and it shows that fire hydrant right? And it shows that 3-foot incline. Does Mr. Cruz own from the street to that 3-foot, or is that city?
From the property pin behind that hydrant,
Oh, behind the hydrant.
yeah, that belongs to the city.
Cruz? Oh, that belongs to the city. Because he's saying he can't get into his property, but could he fill that in? Because it's 3 feet, right? If that was filled in with dirt where he could ride up onto his property, there's nothing from the city that would prevent him from doing that, correct?
No.
Councilmember Elliott?
What would happen with that city hydrant and that city water meter? Because with them there, he's still not going to be able to back up into his property. So they'd have to be rerouted somewhere.
Attorney Mayberry?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Honorable Council, to provide a little bit of clarification, a right-of-way is a property construct that allows, so just like we went through with the franchise agreements, it's that area of, so the streets that allows the city to utilize that for infrastructure, for streets and those sorts of things. When this development was planned, that was designated as a right-of-way. There had been some plan or indication to maybe use that in that block length in the future, or that lot length in the future for a potential street. Well, that never happened. So that right-of-way was never actually used for anything. So it has remained vacant property. So the property under both statutory and ordinance law, there is a method to vacate that right-of-way, and that's what this is. So this is very much an ordinance and statutory process as to impeding access to anybody. That's not an issue in this because it still has access from Bennett Street. Is it the most convenient access? It's not, but it's not landlocked. So access really isn't an issue. And so this truly is only a council's role is really to determine whether this vacation is in the public interest and whether access remains preserved for those abutting properties. And it is, because you have Bennett Street. And in terms of the criteria, in working with the planning and zoning and with community development, all of the criteria have been met both under the ordinance and the statute, and it's really up to council to determine if it's in the public interest to vacate this. And then the next step would be a conveyance. And so it's premature to discuss conveyance at this point. It's still, is it in the public interest to, we're not using it, we're not maintaining it, but then it also eliminates future obligation and responsibility for this.
Councilmember Sanger?
Lou, what's the distance from the one property to the next property? How wide is the street? If you're going to call it a street, how wide is that street? Is it 50 feet?
I think them are 25-foot lots. I'd have to look to see. So it's showing 30 foot from, well, it's 60 foot basically.
So 2 30s.
Yes. Them
So
two lots.
basically, there are two lots.
Yes.
Within 5 feet, there are 2 lots. Because the back of this property, the one on the west side of this property, is county line. Is that the
Yes.
county right there? So
To the west side is county.
Right. So there's not going to be any continuance. We're not going to continue to move into their space. We're not going to put a road out into the county line. It's going to stop right there.
Right, and our letters that went out within the 300-foot buffer of that property, we did send a letter out to the county, and they had no objections to us vacating that right away.
Okay, right.
Councilmember Seeloff?
So we're basically, we're vacating it to be able to be put up for sale is what we're doing tonight, right? Or we're approving it to be sold?
This is,
Yeah. Or how's it?
this is going to be approving it to be sold for the appraised market value that was
Okay.
given to Mr. Leon.
Okay. But they can still one buy half it and one the other one buy half it, or where they want to do. That's up to them.
Yes, and I believe that's a state statute.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilor Seeloff, the the law contemplates that the priority right to each half goes to the abutting property owner. So to the north is Mr. Leon. He gets that northern half. To the south is Mr. Cruz, and so he would get that southern 30 feet. And if they were to decide separately on some other arrangement, that is outside council's scope.
Any other discussion? Councilmember Elliott?
I guess I still don't understand about that hydrant and meter. Because if you're going to back up a trailer in there, are you going to need those removed or put somewhere else?
There are hydrants that sit right directly on the corner of someone's property.
Correct.
That has an alley that goes down it.
Yeah.
They didn't move the hydrant.
Right.
Nor did they move it. Their driveway is 6 inches from the hydrant.
Yeah.
So anytime they park in their own driveway, they're technically illegally parked. They never move the hydrant. The hydrants they are where they are. Don't run over them. That's essentially it. Don't run over the hydrant.
I
It's not
get
a good
that.
idea to run over the hydrant.
Right.
So they wouldn't move it.
Yeah, they're not gonna, there's no point in moving it at that point.
Well, they probably need access in case of an emergency.
The fire department
to-
needs the
yeah.
access to it, so.
Madam Mayor, I don't know if this is appropriate to ask Mr. Cruz, but was your purpose or was your thinking of having them moved? I know that we discussed that, but how are you going to put a trailer up there, back it up?
Either, but if I don't care if the hydrant stays there, if in the picture I showed you, you could see it there now.
Yeah.
I could use that pathway if I get to purchase that half, which sounds like legally I can. So I'd be fine with that because I could use that access because it seems like it's pretty easy to enter the other way, but it is not. Not only did my picture show there's the hydrant, but then the meters and all my utilities come from that way, gas included in between them. So if I get to purchase that half of the property, I'm happy.
Would you knock down that 3-foot embankment?
No, I'd leave it. Why? I don't. My father didn't do it. The city didn't deal with it like the rest of the blocks, so I'm not going to deal with it. It's going to stay there. I keep the weeds down. I keep that road like it is gravelled, as you could see. I've done that. My dad's done that through his life, so I'll do the same for my half. I won't do the whole street. Miss Leon could do the other half. It's up to them.
Thank
But
you.
that's all.
Any other discussion? Lou, anything else?
No, ma'am.
When will you open online voting, please?
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council.
With no further business that needs to be brought before the council, we'll adjourn this meeting at 7:57 PM with our next meeting on April 21st, and it's our regular council meeting. Do we have a work session? I think we have one scheduled, don't we? Okay, possibly with a work session.